Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I am George. We're all George. So, we're finally recovering from last night's dip. It's a pretty major correction, I have to admit it. But I'm here to say that Bitcoin corrections are absolutely normal, especially during bull runs. Do I think this bull run is over? No, I do not. And I'm here to say, yes, corrections are normal, and let me prove it to you guys. So, thanks for tuning in. As always, smash up the like, subscribe to the channel. 2 streams almost every day, 11:30 and 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Make sure you hit that notification bell and follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and check out all the latest news, article, and guides at CryptosRUs.com. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I know last night was a roller coaster of a ride of I would say emotions. Emotions were running high, right? But I did a stream for you guys. I wanted to calm you guys down. It went down a little bit further, but that's okay. Because when it comes to crypto, things are unpredictable at times, right? So, what's going on with Bitcoin right now? 48,300. Yesterday, I tweeted out, I was watching a movie last night, and I came back from the movie, I'm like, what happened? I totally missed this downwick, this one downward, massive sell-off to 42.4. And the reason why this happened again is because there was enough leverage out there, and it was just a cascading effect. $2 billion, over $2 billion of Bitcoin wiped out in one single drop, right? So it was a long squeeze. So this is why I say leverage is dangerous, not only for yourself, but for everyone else, right? So someone, some whale, some group decided to sell off some Bitcoin, but it was enough to trigger all those liquidations that just brought it down all the way down to 42. And any of you guys that picked anything up from 42 all the way to 46 right here, congratulations, because that was a pretty good run right back up. So right now, what Bitcoin is doing is recovering, as it should, because it was massively oversold on all intervals. 5-minute chart, 15-minute chart, 1-hour chart, and you can see that 1 hour, even with right now, even with the recovery, RSI is still below 34. You go to 4-hour, it's still below 30, and on daily, RSI just hit about 32. So basically, all intervals show that Bitcoin is oversold. Temporarily, at least temporarily, right? And if you enjoyed Bitcoin at 60,000, you enjoyed Bitcoin at 68,000, you should enjoy Bitcoin more at 48,000 because you are now getting a 20% discount, right? So that's the best way to think about it. I tweeted out last night too, I bought the dip. Hopefully you guys did too, because I do think this is a good buying opportunity whenever things go down 20% like so. Now, I did make the title of this video, Bitcoin corrections are normal. They're normal in crypto winter. They're normal in bear cycles, but they're also very normal in bull cycles, generally speaking, because you have a lot of volatility. You have a lot of people that's playing leverage, right? But there's many, many, many reasons. So this has been circulating around Twitter today. And you could see, out of all people, Plan B tweeted this. But you could see that this is 2017's run. And look at how many major dips and corrections happened, right? So when this was going up, it didn't just go up to the moon with no corrections. These corrections were absolutely massive. Talking about 38, 38, 33, 38, 36, and finally the last one before the major run up is 29%. And what we just saw recently was about 20%. So not as drastic as some of these. But this, to prove a point, this was during a bull run. This was not during crypto winter. And even with a bull run like this, you had, 6 different corrections, major corrections that happened while Bitcoin was still heading higher. And I do believe this is what's happening. Now, I've been told by many that there are other influencers that have turned very, very bearish, right? And part of it because, they lived through 2017, right? They don't know where top is. None of us do, right? Is this top go end of December, or is this top going into 2022, a lengthening cycle, right? It could. But the best way to protect yourself is not to panic dump, not to panic sell. In my opinion, I don't believe that. I believe it's making sure that you have enough cash on the side, so if a correction does happen, you're able to take advantage, right? I believe investing, not trading, investing is the easiest path to life-changing wealth. And when you're investing over a long haul. You're investing not just for a few weeks or a few months. You're investing for years. Just like those of you guys that stuck around since 2017. Even though we went down as low as 3,100 for Bitcoin, we are now way above that, right? So it is normal. And you know what? This is the best time to be buying, because gains are made when others are fearful, when others are panicking, when there's blood in the street, even if the blood is your own. And I know, the last week, last month has not been good. I checked my portfolio, right? It looks bloody, but that's when you take advantage. That's when you pounce. And the only way to do so is if you have money on the side. So that's why I think it's very important, and I've been saying this for the last month or so, to have about 20, 25%, 30% in cash, so that on days like yesterday, you're able to pounce, and now you're able to profit from it, right? So wanted to start with that. Corrections are normal, even during bull runs. So get that through your head for those of you guys that are panicking. For the rest of you guys that are not panicking, it's okay. All right, now I did mention about lengthening cycle. I think the biggest influencer or trader or crypto YouTuber, the one that's been talking about the most is Benjamin Cohen. And take a look at this. I mean, this is absolutely correct. Not about the lengthening cycle, but about how yesterday's correction is a blip, and it doesn't even register when you're looking at Bitcoin over the long haul, right? So it doesn't really register. When living in the moment, it kind of sucks. But when you calm down and then you zoom out and you realize that this is really nothing, and in a few weeks, few months, few years, you're not going to remember this. I don't think any of you guys remember all the dips that we had going down to 30,000 just a few months ago, earlier this year. Even when we went down to 40,000 a few months ago. Does any of you guys remember during that period, during those weeks and months, all the up and downs and all the emotional roller coasters that we had? No one remembers that, because we're way past that, right? So it's going to be the same thing right now. Okay? Yes, we lived through it, but in a couple weeks, couple months, couple years, we're not even going to remember this. So on the grand scheme of things, this really means nothing, right? Now, in terms of the lengthening cycle, I think there's more merit to that now, right? Because we have seen some external factors come into play, like Omicron. You have to factor that in, whether or not there's global panic and an equity sell-off because of it. We also have this Evergrande, scare that just seems to never go away, right? So there are some external factors that could definitely push the cycle more into 2022. So I do recognize that, right? And then Fed Chairman Powell's easing on tapering of buying bonds and stuff like that. So that could play into factor, right? But like I've always been saying, even yesterday when things were looking bleak, I said the fundamentals of Bitcoin has not changed. Not changed at all, right? I mean, look at this. These guys, these funds, these companies that accumulated over 7% of Bitcoin's supply, did any of them sell recently? No. In fact, they bought. They bought more. I'll guarantee you in a couple of days, Michael Saylor will say that MicroStrategy bought more. So these funds, these companies that bought over 7% of Bitcoin supply within just 1 year alone, they continue to accumulate, they continue to buy, right? And even President Bukele from El Salvador just bought another 150. So this plays into fundamentals. The reserves on the exchanges keeps dropping. The number of addresses that are holding Bitcoin keeps increasing. And the number of holders out there, and not just from retail side, but also from institutional side, they keep increasing. So the fundamentals of Bitcoin did not change overnight. Just because we had a little correction does not mean anything has been changed. So yes, maybe external factors, maybe some whale games, you add all that up, maybe it pushes the cycle into 2022, but that's okay. Who cares? Who cares? Time is on our side. But like I've been saying, I want to remind you guys, we are only 4 days into December, okay? Only 4 days. There's still whole months left, and despite what it looks like now, things can recover very quickly in December, okay? Even in the last 2 weeks. I like to remind you guys, in 2017, Bitcoin went from 6,000 to 20,000 in 4 weeks, okay? So very crazy things have happened before, and they could still happen. So I don't want you to think that it has to be carried into 2022. 2021, we still have 3 weeks left. In fact, this very first week is not over yet. There is still time for Bitcoin to recover and make its massive move. But if it doesn't, and it continues 2022, so what? So what? We just have to wait a little bit longer. I think for most of us that's been in the game for quite some time, we know that waiting and having patience is the most important thing. If you have patience and you're truly investing and not trying to trade, you're truly investing for a long haul, for life-changing wealth, then you know time is on our side, right? As Bitcoin adoption keeps growing and the fundamentals keep getting better, the only correlating thing that happens with price, well, I take that back. The end result, I should say, the end result for price is going higher. All right, guys, that is pretty much it. Now let's do some Q&A. Aaron, see, there are a lot of bears in here. Aaron says, oh, George has been wrong the whole year. Yeah, okay. Like I've been telling you guys the whole year, beginning of January, when Bitcoin was below 20,000, I told you guys that Bitcoin will break 20,000, form a new high. And so many people said, no, that won't happen. And look at where we are now. I mean, see, there's a lot of misery being spread around, a lot of FUD being spread around, because they are the ones that are miserable. The people that spread the most misery, most FUD, are the most miserable people. The best way to deal with those people is to have compassion and ignore. But if they're just really trolling, you just gotta kick them out. You gotta kick them out of your life, right? If you're on the path, you don't want to deviate from the path. The path of life-changing wealth, a path to financial freedom. I think that's more important than life-changing wealth. Path to financial freedom. The easiest way to attain it, in my opinion, is to stick and invest in crypto. It has helped me get to where I am, and it has helped many get to where they are because of having patience investing in crypto. So don't let those that are spreading misery right now get to you and get you out of the market, because that's a big mistake. Big mistake in my opinion. All right, let's do some Q&A. I'm not going to be talking about Floki. I don't know why you'd be asking about that. Bullish Crypto Sauce says, quit crying, buy the dip, or cry more later. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Coin Collector says, December equals negative, saving my dollars for Q1, forget December. I'm going to say saving for January for 2022, that's okay. But I like to remind you guys that it's only 4 days into December. It's not like right now we're December 30th or December 31st. December just started. Someone asked about Luna. Luna has been absolutely on fire. Okay, despite the fact yesterday and today, you could see that for the last week, it is still up 50%. The coin burning is real, and it's having a real effect on Terra, and I believe it's going to continue further. Matthew says, why does everyone want BTC to move ASAP when a better thing would be to move sideways for longer so we could accumulate more? Yes, Matthew, that's of course the better scenario. But unfortunately, most people don't care about that. Most people get into crypto not understanding that it is still investment. It still requires you to have patience. It requires you to learn about what you're investing in. Unfortunately, that's not the case with all new people. They usually come in, they buy high, get wrecked, blame everyone else, right? And then one of two things happen. Then they settle down and learn about patience or having patience, right? Investing long haul and how Bitcoin going stair step up is better than, moonshot, or those people just leave the market. So one of the two things always happens. Every single cycle, every time the market goes up, that's what happens. Do you think these frequent liquidations are cost and landing cycle? I don't think that plays into it, but it plays into these corrections like this, right? Now liquidations was not as rampant in 2017 as it is now because there was not as much leverage back then, but there was still leverage and it still played a part, and greed always plays a part. So in 2017, you had 6 major corrections during the bull run, and this one we did too. We had some good corrections. We had a very good one from 64,000 down to 29,000, right? But we still had slow and steady movement upwards until it wasn't slow anymore and it just moonshotted. But yeah, corrections are normal, but normally with greed, it does make things a little bit worse at times. But it goes both ways. Greed and leverage also pushes the market up in tremendous ways too during time. So you got to take the good and the bad, but the best way is to ignore it. Just invest in solid projects and hodl. Bitcoin is coming up, 48.5. That's pretty good. And to look at the glass half full, not empty, you still have some good altcoins that have held relatively well. For example, Solana. Solana is still up for the week, despite being down. And I told you guys, when it was down to like 170, 180s, good pickup because it'll be above in 200 in no time, and has held, right? Solana, and you look at Ethereum even. Ethereum's dominance versus Bitcoin is increasing. Ethereum is barely down for the week, right? It's only down 2% for the week, while Bitcoin is down 11, 12%. So if you look at it that way, Ethereum isn't doing too bad either. Someone like Luna is just absolutely insane right now, still up 50% for the week. But hey, if you're a Sheep fan, you're only down 5% for the week. If you're a Matic fan, I told you guys about Matic and how I think it could have a really good December. Well, you're also up 18% for the week, right? Algorand is barely down, only about 4% down for the week. And there's many others that are similar, like Cosmos, which has picked up a little bit recently, only down about 2% for the week, right? So if you look at it that way, you look at the glass half full, you realize things aren't all that bad. Of course, for most part, things are down. But here's another good piece of news. Bitcoin dominance is down even more, 39.19%. It's almost down to 38%. And this is the lowest I've remembered for a long time. So again, the reason for this is because people are learning from their mistakes. They're not panic selling, and they're actually picking up the dips, and more so on altcoins than Bitcoin at this point. Sean, I appreciate it. Trolls find a way to bring negativity into every aspect of life. Buy the dip and stay positive. That is a good message. Do you think, Jonathan asked, do you think this, this bearish movement will last until the next Fed meeting? Last time Jerome Powell said he's pre-announcing that something tapering may happen in December. That did bring the market down a little bit, but we did recover from it, and then all of a sudden, more Omicron fears. So I guess it depends on what he says. OVR is a low-cap metaverse play. Does it have potential? Possibly, but it's more into AR rather than like a virtual world, so it's a little bit different. They have potential, but still very early and a little bit different concept. What's your thoughts on Aave? Since February, it's been heavily down. Yeah, a lot of the decentralized lending plays like Aave just kind of lost a lot of momentum because their rewards isn't that all that good. It doesn't compare to even like, you know, BlockFi or Celsius or to yield pools, which gives a lot more APY, right? So I think part of it is because of that, and part of it is because a lot of the money went into metaverses and NFTs, which are the hottest things right now. Have you heard of a new project launched by Titan and Coinbase Ventures called Lumerin? Any thoughts? No. It doesn't show up. It's probably too new. What are your thoughts on Hut Mining? Hut Mining and also Mara and a few other big players, they keep adding more and more Bitcoin to their balance sheet. I think I saw Hut 8 has, over 4,000? I think they added a few more. They're over 5,000 Bitcoin. And Marathon is even more. These miners, they're the backbone of the network, and they continue to add more mining machine, more hash rate, and they continue to hodl everything that they mine, right? This goes into my point of these big boys. This is the biggest factor, I think, to I guess, the fundamental of Bitcoin. Not only do you have a ton of people that are buying and holding, but you look at even the miners, the ones that are securing the network, they keep getting stronger and stronger and stronger, and that's a terrific sign. In the previous years, we have heard of miners selling off their Bitcoin because things weren't unprofitable and stuff like that, and they had to pay for operations. These days, not so much. These days, they are actually buying more, and they're holding more. So, very different. A couple whales far outweigh institutions, the millions everyday investors, and institutional support. Really, yes, it is. It is. You got to think that what's happening now is basically driven on exchanges, right? And exchanges have a certain amount of reserves. So the price of Bitcoin is not reflected based on anything outside exchanges. This is all through order books on Coinbase, Binance, and so forth. But I have shown you guys time and time again, the reserves of Bitcoin and crypto, especially like Ethereum, keeps dropping. At some point, it's going to drop so far that these whale games mean nothing anymore because it's so scarce and everyone wants it, right? All these dealings right now, most of this is OTC. So they're done off the order books. So they don't affect the price going upwards, at least not right now. But what's happening is more and more supply is being eaten away. eventually the exchanges are going to dry up. There's nothing left, right? And that's when Bitcoin will be in the millions each. But in the meantime, slow and steady, more and more is being taken off exchanges, which is why slowly everything is going up. Does yield farming have any preference between single assets and liquidity pools? Do I have any preference? No, because I don't do any of it. So I can't tell you. I don't do any kind of yield farms or staking, anything like that. I like to keep things more liquid, just myself. But, you know, there's so many places that you can stake. What do you think about Card TC? I've always been neutral on them. Kind of like an Oracle slash, layer 2 for Ethereum. So, I mean, there's just a lot in this space. There's a lot in space. Is there an altcoin season coming, or this is what an end of bull market looks like? No, it's already partially here, which is why BTC dominance is going down. But usually when altcoins truly pump, they do that 2, 3, 4, 5x within a very short amount of time. That's usually when Bitcoin reaches a peak and there's a blow off top. And right now we're not at a blow off top. Nowhere close to that. You look at a lot of the on-chain messages, they'll show that too. I just don't have it with me today. I'll show more maybe tonight and tomorrow. But a lot of the on-chain metrics that measure tops, Bitcoin is nowhere close to it. All right. Anything else, guys? I'm trying to skip through. Miss Super Chat, how do you feel about keeping money on the side as a really low limit buy? I got Link at 10 and ADA under 1 last night. That's pretty good. Some people have talked about it, right? You could just set a really low buy order. You don't think it's ever going to execute and leave it there. And if it does, great. But you may have to leave it there forever because it may never hit. So, sure, it's a good strategy. You could do that. Hey, Sunday Swap. Someone just reminded me. Sunday Swap's testnet is supposed to be coming tomorrow. So let's see if something happens with Cardano, because it's been down for a long time. I told you guys about how if Sunday Swap's testnet goes really smooth, that could be a huge catalyst to push Cardano forward. Not a huge catalyst. It should be the only catalyst to push it forward, because it's a DEX. You need a DEX working on Cardano, right? Adi says, my sources are telling me the dip was good for a market. Well, I can't argue with that. What's your thoughts on Link? It's a tough to hold when it doesn't pump and you can't stake it. Yeah, Link is one of those projects. It's like a blue chip, not very exciting. It's widely used, but there's times where it just simply does not move, right? Especially right now, because it's just not very sexy. Because people love to get into things that do pump, like you said, right? Like metaverses, like L1s out there, right? And they're just kind of like floating around as the biggest oracle. So, hey, look, 48.7 starting to come up. We could be back to 53 or 55 in no time, right? Everything has been, all the leverage has been liquidated. All longs have basically, they're gone. Bitcoin on a short time scale oversold. So we could see a good recovery today and tomorrow and Monday. But it's the external factors, I think, are the ones that may push the cycle into 2022. You know, in terms of news variant, China FUD, or, Evergrande, Fed tapering, like these kind of things may drive Bitcoin cycle to 2022. But fundamentals didn't change. And we're still very early in December, so don't give up hope. There could still be a lot of stuff coming in December. All right, guys, that is it. Overall, stay strong, my friends. Take advantage if you can. If you can't, that's okay. But know that you have to have patience if you're going to win at a game of crypto, and don't let those miserable people FUD you out. Okay? Stay strong, stay positive, and take advantage if you can. And I'll see you guys tonight, 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. All right? Have a good one, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.